All right, from the studio in Fairfax City, we're very grateful that Marina and Julie accepted the invitation to our show. Guys, welcome to my humble podcast.
Thank you.
No,
It's
no
nice to
problem.
be here.
No problem. Let's go back to the beginning of your life. Any of you were born like in a musical family? I mean, how old were you when you perhaps began, I don't know, taking piano lesson or guitar lesson, that sort of thing?
You want to start that, Marina?
Oh, sure. So my mother was an opera singer. She
Okay.
studied at the Vienna and Prague conservatories. I was saying that my parents were immigrants, really refugees, because my father was a diplomat and he had done some work to help the American government. And at a certain point, this was discovered by the incoming communist government in Slovakia, and they had to flee. Like all of a sudden, gone. Our whole life, they had to run to America, taken here by the military, and start fresh with not even knowing the language. So it was very, story told by many, actually, right? Over time. But my mom had been a very successful opera singer. She was in a little Andrews Sisters group in Slovakia, recording, on Telefunken. But she had all of her kids learn to sing and play the piano. So, she put me on a piano bench at the age of 4. And I just started learning, Mary Had a Little Lamb. And not unlike Julie, who also started classical piano at a very early age. We were very serious, both of us. Right through college, we each submitted a piano audition tape to Yale as part of our application. It was, we had aspirations, both of us, to be concert pianists. And we were very serious for many years about that. And then just in terms of singing, I could never sing the way my mother did because she was a coloratura soprano. So I went the pop route, and largely, again, through my best friend's encouragement. She goes like, "You're going to sing." So that's kind of my origin story, but always loving harmonies best. Harmonies from everybody, from Crosby, Stills and Nash to Simon and Garfunkel to the Beatles, of course, Beatles originally, right?
Yeah.
Marina, you got a big compliment, didn't you, from David Crosby about your harmonies?
Yes, I had.
Really? All right.
Crosby at one point. I don't recall. Julie, remember? Do you remember what he said? I just know that he was.
Yeah, he said that it was amazing to hear someone who sang in such tune with such good rhythm and still kept a melodious resonance.
Oh, thank you for remembering. I'm gonna write it down. We share, like, I count on Julie for my memories, and I'm a little less reliable for hers, but I try.
But the bald patches are really funny. So.
All right, that's good. And then Julie, you end up meeting Emil, right? You were in the same.
Right. But I have my own music stories, so.
Okay, of course. I'm sorry about that.
Yes.
Go for it.
Both of my grandmothers, at a time when that was unusual, were professional musicians. My mother's mother was the church organist, and my father's mother was a concert pianist at a very early time in America for a woman to do anything. Both my grandmothers were pretty fierce. And I started music early, but I didn't, I really liked it because I think maybe I'm neurodivergent, and I liked playing the piano because it was hypnotic. And so I liked practicing because it was an introvert's activity. And I loved it. I loved playing something over and over again. It was very pleasing to me. And then when I met Marina, we were so much alike, it was ridiculous. And Marina, I did not submit a recorded audition. I did one in person.
Oh my God. I thought you sent a tape in. I did not know you went and played.
It was terrifying. Was it William White? Was that the name of the guy? From the
William Devaney. No, Ward Devaney. Ward Devaney was one of them.
Was it? And I, for Maury Yeston, who wrote 9. So I went and I auditioned and had interviews and whatever. And it was quite terrifying, but we both ended up there. And Marina majored in music, and I majored in, first boys.
Well, we both majored in boys.
We majored in boys. That's what we majored in, right? So
Julie was English lit. She was English lit.
Oh no, I ended up. But wait, I had a brief dalliance with political science. I thought, my father was a political journalist, and my mother was a political scientist. And I thought, I'll do that. I bet I could do that. That's probably like about politics or something. So I got there, and I didn't realize that you had to be able to like read charts and graphs and do data and analysis. And similar to my attempt to take a computer science class, I was not adept in these arts. There were other arts for me. So I ended up an English literature poetry major, and Marina she went the full way.
I continued on the musical path. Julie's father actually was extremely well regarded and renowned in New York. He was the political reporter for CBS News Radio in New York City, and his beat was City Hall. So he covered all the mayors. He actually did interviews with all of like 4 presidents, Jewel, 4 or 5 presidents.
Whatever. There was one time where there were a lot of living presidents at once, and he did interviews with all of them in the same year. And when he died, in his honor, they renamed the street in front of New York City's City Hall in his honor. It's Stephen Flanders Square.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Amazing. Good for you.
He was an amazing person. He was really different. But yeah, so Marina and I, all right, so Amal is the only reason that I passed my freshman music theory classes, because I was good at music, but not at music theory. Like you were saying, the difference between being, an academic and then being in life, I was very good at the embodiment of things, or how things move as a form of poetry or connection. But the things that make you good at computer science also make Amal's very engineering. He's like an architect or an engineer. He's very structural to music, which is how when he produces albums, they sound so unique, because he's structural. So you will probably have to have a conversation with him, because,
Oh yeah, 100%. Because I'll just butt in and say that Amal's producing was very significant in every album we ever did, including our Epic Records albums. So
you need to have some structure, right?
Record label insisted we have other producers, but it's Emil's vision all the way.
Yeah, Amal's really our producer, but also the genius of the arrangements. So each of the elements forming a whole, he's really good at eliciting from people, what's the beauty in you? What's the best in you? How can that take shape? And then he shapes everything around the resources he has, and is very, it always sounds so easy when you hear what he does, but it's always so specific and detail oriented when he's having to do the work of whether it's arranging the strings or getting the right sound, or,
or getting the perfect key for the singer. I mean, he writes with that in mind. He really tailors things beautifully.
Good for him, man. Good for you. Good for you. So going back to my question, so Julie, you ended up meeting Emil when you were, I don't know, in high school, or you went to the same high school together, or?
Yeah, we went
middle
to
school?
high school.
Yeah.
And then Marina and I ended up going to the same college. So sort of like our young life is.
So we were teenagers. We met each other as teenagers.
Right, I got it. And you knew back then that music will become an important part of my life, or was college the only way to make it, or any pressure for your family? Forget about music.
I thought I was going to be a journalist. I thought I would be a journalist.
I was pretty intent on music. I actually thought I was going to be a concert pianist, but
you also thought that you were going to go into the foreign service, though.
Yeah, I did also think cultural attaché sounded pretty good. So I did take the State Department exam, but gratefully did not pursue that path because my roommate had other ideas for me.
I know. So you went to college, right? Julie, you stay in touch with Emil as well?
I live with him.
Oh.
No, you mean during college?
No, during college, right?
Yeah. He was up a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so you went to school, right? And the second year, any music idea? I mean, you say like a piano, you were...
Emil and I started writing songs in high school. So we wrote our first songs together when we were very young. And we wrote a whole musical before I went to Yale, based on a book called The Mouse That Roared. It turned out you have to have the rights for such things, but we didn't. We just started writing. And then...
Well, we did a project together. So they were writing songs all the time, from high school on through college years until they had so many we decided in our senior year to do our first evening of music together. So it was the songs of Julie and Emil. Julie wrote some songs with me and Emil. And yeah, it was really great. It was a professional production with lights and an orchestra and, director and 4 singers. And it was really exciting. It was called Measure by Measure. And that was our first.
That was our first thing that we did.
Professional gig or something. But it was a school, right? At Yale.
At school,
Yeah.
yes.
But Yale is a very arts college, so it's almost like a conservatory that way. So it was more
Their School of Music. School of Music is one of the best in the country now. So I mean, actually, even then. So yeah, the resources there are amazing.
Especially for the arts. It's a really good school for that. And then Emil was getting his master's degree at Rutgers. In their undergraduate, the Newark campus, where he studied with George Walker, and then in graduate school, he just really, I think he made the decision not the music at that time was very mathematical, and so melody, harmony, beauty was discouraged, and his soul says melody, harmony, and beauty. So.
Sure.
Yeah, so he went into the pop direction, fortunately for us. But we all thought when we first started that we would be writing theater and that we would be writing songs in a more theatrical way rather than a pop music kind of a way. And
the 3 of us, when we left Yale, we entered a musical theater writing workshop in New York City that was run by ASCAP. And it was a very famous musical theater conductor, Lehman Engel, who was teaching the class at the time, and then he died. And then Maury Yeston, again, the composer of 9, came in. And so we were in a very small group. Many of those people have gone on to write musicals and be in theater. And it was our first effort in New York was to begin with that workshop.
I got it. And then Emil in the meeting, I think Sabatino, that was a member early back in the day, right? Before you start.
Oh yeah, I just emailed him this week. I was conversing with him. He has 2 daughters. Both of them are one of them was engaged, and now they're both engaged.
Oh my God, Jill, I didn't know. That's so great.
It's really nice. And he we see Dave a lot, and we played with Dave. We played with Dave just recently.
Last year.
And Urbano, and Dave and Emil met, and they built the studio, and Dave did all of the engineering, and Dave is a bass player who had to learn the guitar because we needed him to. So, they had, I think they built at least 3 studios during the course of October Project.
Right. But at the time, so I think from what I read, they did one, and then they began kind of rehearsing and trying things out, right? Way before the two famous albums that you released at the beginning,
it took a really long time for the band to find its right sound and people.
A long time is relative. I mean, I'd say it was 18 months. It was 18 months. That's not very long.
No, it's really not.
It's actually pretty quick.
I mean, a lot of it had to do with the guitarist we had initially is very talented, but it was, I don't remember why that didn't work.
Maybe because he was too electric. It was too electric.
He just was in he wanted something else. And we had a drummer, and then the sound got very, very big and hard. And then we stripped back, and for about, 6 months or 8 months, it was just Dave, Mary, Amal, and I was sort of helping produce and look at that. But then we really missed harmonies. So Marina came back in and brought the harmonies, and then the drums had been too much for the band. It overwhelmed the lap work. Yeah. And so we added Urbano because he was percussionist more than a drummer. But then we said, we need you to play a drum. So we kind of put a drum in the middle of his percussion, and he learned how to play a rhythm that was not natural to him, really. And
I had a snare and a bass drum. That was it.
Yeah. And then Dave I had to switch from bass to guitar. So everybody was doing whatever we needed them to do at the moment. And then pretty much the group would rehearse instrumentally. And then I think Mary would come in and sing, right? And Marina was doing the harmonies. So
Yeah, we rehearsed a lot. We rehearsed three times a week dedicatedly until we finally gave our first gig. So, I mean, I do want to say that in all things October Project, that Julie does get credit for being the conceptor. She had the idea for the band. She had the idea of which elements would be best. And, you know, she's always been the sort of the
it was always
the prime mover.
I was never a person that wanted to be in front of things. I like being, the poet. I guess I probably am an introvert, right? But, I probably would describe I think I bring the creative aesthetic to projects. That's kind of my role, is all of the elements coming together, the sound, how it looks, what the messaging is, and bringing out the best in people so that each single element is brought into its full light, and then all of the elements together make something better than any one thing. So,
but at the time you say you were rehearsing 3 days a week or so, right? To try to, find out, your unique sound and so forth. And then were you guys married, working, having kids, or?
No, not yet.
Okay. But you were working, right? So music was like a part-time thing to do 3 days a week.
Claudio,
right?
we're still working.
Yeah.
We're musicians. You don't need to ask. Yes, we're still working. So, we were all working, and we were all my favorite thing is the day that we had our signing lunch with SONY. Emil had the worst temp job in the world. It was a terrible job. But he had to go, and he was only allowed 1 hour for lunch. So he had to run to his temp job, but he had just been awarded star employee, and he came with a little certificate that they had given him because he was the best one at filing he was doing, or some terrible thing. But yeah, we each had a terrible day job.
I get you. I understand. And then Julie, you ended up meeting Mary Fall, right? In New York, it was like an accident. I think
it was at a terrible day job, I think. Her best friend at that time worked in my terrible day job with me, and introduced us. Her friend kept telling me she was a singer. So her friend was like, I'm a singer. And so she was a singer. She was a big belting Broadway kind of singer. And then she introduced me to Mary, and Mary was like, I'm a singer. And so I heard Mary singing. I was like, I think you should come to New Jersey and sing with me and Amal. And so she did. And it was just really like instant. We knew right away, like, this is right. And so the three of us with Dave, and then it grew, and then we pruned it, and then it grew. It was kind of like that. So, but I just loved Mary's singing and voice and whatever. And, there was obviously things don't start where they go. So it wasn't ready right away. Like, it really took a while. And I just remember people hearing it, not liking it, really not liking it, and having to, really not liking it. And depending on who it was, it would be different what they didn't like. But I think that was one of the more interesting phases, because I don't know why, but for me, that just made me more sure. I knew it was right. And I just thought it was a matter of time that something that was unusual and lyrical and beautiful would penetrate. We were told no by every single club. Nobody would book us. They were like, no. I remember Mary and I went to this place called the Sun Mountain Cafe once, and we were trying to get booked. And we gave the guy our little demo on a cassette, and, he went and played it. We came back a week later. We were like, do you like it? And he was like, no, it sounds like Fleetwood Mac. It's like Fleetwood Mac. I would never book that. But then that guy ended up booking us, and we were always packed all the time.
All right.
I'm pretty sure that was the cafe that happened in Sun Mountain. So many no's before there were yeses. Marina, do you remember that too? Like a feeling of just
absolutely.
Everything was rolling around up the hill.
Yeah. It was always like that. And then until it wasn't.
It wasn't.
I mean, we eventually got a residency at a club in the Lower East Side called Cafe Sinead, which was an Irish-owned establishment, and Sinead O'Connor would show up, and one of the guys from U2, but it was tiny. It was maybe 32 people could fit in there, but it had a huge window, so people could look in the window. So we wound up having a residency there, and we were there at the same time that Jeff Buckley, and we each got signed out of that club.
Yeah.
Maybe within a week of each other. We played a couple of nights together, and it was within a couple of weeks of each other that we got signed. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, Jeff to Columbia and us to Epic.
That could have been what, 90, 91, 92?
92. We
Or
were
so.
signed in 92, and we recorded in 93.
Yeah, I got it. And then, good for you, man. Good for you. Oh, by the way, I forgot to ask you, and of course I know the answer, but for people that don't know, where did the name October Project come from?
Oh, it's too bad Emil's not here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think each of us tells the story a little differently. Marina, do you want to tell it, or do you want me to tell it?
Well, I mean, we were rehearsing, as we've just been discussing, for a good long time, and we realized we're getting closer and closer to our first performance, which we had hoped to do in October. And so we started thinking of band names, and people didn't like one or the other, and we just kept not arriving at the right name, and suddenly said, Emil, what's important to you? And he looked down, and of course, Emil's very organized, and he kept these file folders with the music and the lyrics. And since we wanted to play in October, he had simply written October Project on the file folder. And then we realized—
Oh, wait, you forgot to say that what was important to Emil was his file folder.
Was his file folders, exactly. Yeah. And then, of course, we live in the Northeast, where there are seasons, 4 seasons, and October is a very contemplative season. People are going outside. It's more reflective, which is very in keeping with the lyrics. And then Project was because we were all so different. I mean, Urbano, the Latin percussionist, Dave, the rock and roll guitarist, Emil, the masters in music, Marina, the classical nerd. I mean, it was like we were very different people coming together because in the same gravitational pull, and and magic happened. So
good for you. And then, like a year or two later, right, you end up releasing the first record, October Project, in 93. I think you recorded that in Nashville, if I remember correctly, right?
Yes.
And that album is a masterpiece.
It's really good.
When we talk about the second, of course, I want to ask you what happened, because they were a great album. They are great album.
Thank you. Yeah, we're pretty proud of them.
Yeah, we have some really cool cassettes that we found last year that are like our demos. You'd be surprised. Our demos are really close to the feeling that you have from the album.
Where are they? At your home?
Yeah, they're in our home, and we even bought, like, my son bought us a converter to take it off of the cassette so that we can make sure we don't lose it, because cassettes age. We thought we had lost it because we had all these floods during COVID where we lost everything. And so we thought, oh, we lost all those old cassettes, but we have everything. We just have to convert it. But we have
to do it soon, though, Jill. I read that degradation starts at 30 years. So got to get going.
You got to get in there then. Yeah, let's get
among the cassette that you have the first, do you have the demos that were sent to class that end up turning you down?
We probably have everything. We have the first ones Emil did, this ones that were done where we tried to add bass and drums, but it was too slick, but it's good. And then the third one we did with a really wonderful producer. We did it all in a day, called Kramer, Kramer. He's done some really interesting projects. And that one was my favorite. And I think we found it, right, Marina? Or we have it. I got in touch with him to say, I think he lives in Australia now, but I got in touch with him to say, do you have it? And he was like, oh, no, I remember it. And I don't have it, but somebody needs to have it. And so that one to me it's just, you can really feel the raw, passionate impulse that October Project. The only really disappointing thing is that when we went to mastering, both Emil and Glenn felt that the mastering muffled the sound. It made it dull. And the mix before that process, which the label had imposed upon us, was incredible. It was, Emil cried. He literally cried when he heard the mastering. He was like, this is terrible. It needs to be redone. And they were like, they would not, he and Glenn both felt that the mastering was just inadequate. So if it ever gets remastered, I think it would be a great benefit to the many people.
100%. It needs to happen. It needs to happen.
Yeah.
A lot of people want it out on vinyl too, right? So that's never
Yeah.
done.
But
Man, I would love to listen to that original tape somewhere before.
you just inspired me to go and
No.
look again and figure out where they are
No.
and see if we
maybe one day I will visit you and buy you to lunch and
please.
then you show me.
Yeah, we have a bunch of, we probably even have like some of the songs that never got on, like we have the songs that were done that we performed, but they weren't on the albums.
Yeah, interestingly, after we left Epic, there was a moment there where Will Ackerman, who had a record label at the time called Wyndham Hill, wanted to put out all the songs that we had never released. And so we began to assemble them, and we went and visited him in his recording studio in Vermont. And then for whatever reason, it didn't go all the way through. But yeah, we've assembled already the rarities that we felt we had the best recordings of.
I would love to listen to stuff. Yeah,
Right,
I'm
we'll have to
interviewed
go
Will
find it.
Ackerman, so I know him very well. He's a very nice guy, actually.
Oh,
Yeah,
I've been
and very
good to him.
talented. I loved his albums of guitar.
He's unbelievable. So the stuff had never been released. Nobody knows about the stuff. Well, you and your friends and husband, kids know about it, but it has never been out released.
Or you could hear versions the way
Yeah.
that the versions the way we did them, which are really interesting. Yeah, it's just interesting. It's like a different. I mean, we forget and then we go and we're like, oh, that's so crazy.
Yeah. Wow.
Band was very different. Like everybody sang leads. It was more like Fleetwood Mac. The guy was
it's definitely
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
definitely more like Fleetwood Mac.
I got it. And then, of course, there were 2 videos that were released, right? The Bury My Lovely and then Return to Me, right? Is that correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Return to Me, that's a masterpiece. And I have listened to thousands of records. Have seen, that's a very, very good. Like, I don't know how, you and Mary and Emil end up putting that together. What memory do you have? Do you remember the day that you wrote that and then you went in the studio and then record
that song wasn't written in one day. That was like a process. That song, because I remember that there was a really terrible musical section that I can still remember for the bridge, and I mock Amal with it sometimes because I made him rewrite it, and he wasn't happy at the time, but I think he's happy now. It's the everything I tell you has been spoken. It was kind of like everything I tell you has been spoken. And everything I hear was said before. I mean, it was terrible. It was terrible. Claudio, terrible.
That's so funny.
That got rewritten. I do remember that, but I don't think anybody thought much of that song because it was so heartfelt and straight ahead. And, you always love the songs that are, clever or, that the drummer loves, or, you end up loving the songs for the wrong reasons. And Return to Me, I think our audience loved it for the right reasons, which is that it's very heartfelt and speaks the truth. And
yeah.
Marina has a version of that song. How many views do you have on that, Marina?
So it was an independent film and called The Adulterer, and it was used in a love scene, and it has 89 million views. Sorry, 70.
89 million.
Hold on. 79 million. 79 million.
Impressive.
And we don't know why. We don't. It's not even on our channel. It's just people love it and they play it.
Yeah, we recorded that. We recorded that after the band went separate ways. We went into the studio and Amal produced it, and Julie sang harmonies. It was her first time singing harmonies on.
That was my first time singing
on recording. And so
Wow.
I released it for my little December Girl EP, but it wound up going to #1 in Rochester and in Atlanta, and it like had a second life. And then this film director took it and used it in this movie, and it has like 79 million views. Very exciting.
You question you're getting royalties, right?
No, this
Not a
is the
penny,
sad part.
not a single cent. Oh no, not a cent.
Why not?
Because there's no one to call and complain and say we have 79 million views. What do we do to get paid?
Nope. We have not received anything like what you would think when you hear 79 million.
Mm-mm. No, we've never. I mean, I think about like we can have a separate conversation about money at some point, but have we ever received a penny from anyone, Marina?
No, it's been so sad and so paltry. I mean, anyone who thinks that there's money to be made in the music business, it's especially because of streaming.
Yeah, streaming is
that's terrible. So so you finished the first record, which is great, right? And then you began touring a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So of course now that was 40 years ago, but how it was well received, the album, was it?
Very. I mean, also the label was very excited about it, so we were a priority for
to them, right? So they put money for advertising and then
big money on the videos, sufficient backing on the tours. Our biggest opportunity was opening for Sarah McLachlan, which Julie can take credit for because she had approached all sort of up and coming and successful female acts and said, we've got another female fronted band. We'd love to tour with you. And Sarah was the only one who said yes, because at the time, the industry would tell you nobody's going to go see two female fronted bands at the same time. They're just not going to come. And of course, Sarah blew that theory to bits.
What a stupid thing, the reason they gave.
Yeah, our manager and I were in conversations with Terry McBride, who was Sarah's manager, to do what became Lilith Fair. And our label dropped us at that moment, basically, is what happened. So because
we're very sad we didn't do Lilith Fair because we were sort of the progenitors.
So unfortunately, our label had dropped us basically before Falling Farther came out. We knew
before, no, after. I thought it was after.
There was a little brief thing. I mean, our contract, whatever, but it was clear to us with how our budgets have been cut and the constraints and the difficulty of getting out on the road with that, that it was already a fate because it had nothing to do with October Project. It had to do with Epic Records and layoffs at the label that came because Michael Jackson had an accusation around his pedophilia. And so Epic was a Michael Jackson's imprimatur. And so they had to rise up and defend him at a moment when he had an album coming out. And that meant they lost a lot of potential revenue. And so they just cut all the mid-tier artists, and we were one of them.
And people at the label as well. It was a real.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't like us, but everybody that would have been working on October Project for all that time, all those people got cut. So they lost their jobs. And so everyone that was an ambassador and an advocate for the band or for the album was gone. And so everything that happened from that was just us doing it behind the scenes and trying to make something good happen. And then we managed to get the band out at least for a brief time because of previous agreements with a fairly fuller
8-piece. We were an 8-piece.
That was really joyful.
Tour with Falling Farther. And it was great. There's a great full-length concert video at a venue in Philadelphia that exists somewhere. I don't think we have the master, although that would be nice. But.
Well, so two great records, no record deal. So what did you do? So what was the strategy to go forward?
Well, actually, the band was at a people always talk about creative differences. I don't really think that breaks up a band. I think it's just personality stuff and people like having whatever. And our manager or label, there were just a lot of dynamics going on. for me, I just had a baby, so my head was elsewhere. I didn't care. I was like, I have a baby, but the the timing of it was our manager had he wanted our label to drop us because when a label signs you, they put you in debt and they make
Sure,
you
sure. Yeah,
debt.
no, I'm aware of that. Yeah.
So he wanted our label to drop us because he already had another deal for the band.
Yeah.
And we would have gone without a single penny owed to another label. But he and Mary Fall were having their issues. And I think she just wanted something different. I don't think she wanted to be in a group. I think she wanted to be in a solo career. So
Right.
it was her option. I don't know that she was even aware at how much was moving in her favor. I think she thought things were moving against her when they were actually moving for her. And it was kind of sad because, whatever it was that she was going through, she seemed really unhappy and she wanted to make herself happy a different way.
I understand. Okay, baby, disagreement, Mary Fall end up leaving, and then, so will you guys stay in touch again, or is it, independent of the record label, we
Yeah,
need to, we have our career, we have two great albums, whether we have a record label or not, it's irrelevant, right? So
Well, David just had
you earn it.
David just had children and I had just had a baby. And so, those create economic necessities,
Yeah,
No,
there was an interregnum, right? There was a period in between where different things were happening. I tried my little solo album and toured with the group, and Julie and Amal ultimately started up a group, and we found ourselves. We did a second band and it was really successful. It was doing extremely well. And everything that we thought, had been a problem in October Project, we tried to correct for in our next band. And we kept projecting like, well, this band's disagreements were like this, so let's fix that.
Sure.
And in the structure. And then this band was a completely different band. They had completely different stuff. And so I just realized like being in a band is being married to 5 people. And it's hard to be married to one person, but it's really hard to be married to 5 people. So
no, I understand.
I got to have 2 really extraordinary divorce experiences in my life. Neither of them was with Emil and none of them had been with Marina. So, but we, that's the music industry. That's music. I don't know why such a wonderful, beautiful thing creates such tension for people, but it does. Not just for, obviously we had our own personal experiences of that, but
well, and then Julie and Amal and I came back together through the recording of Return to Me, which was about in like 2000. Right.
And then we had our city, because we were all in New York City, and then we had 9/11, and the 3 of us began performing all the time for the first responders and the rescuers, and we were downtown singing at the Bottom Line and raising money and performing in the church down there. And so with that, we started to realize how powerful the music was and how it was affecting people who had been so deeply injured. And so we just kept going. I don't know that we thought we would be continuing. I think we thought we were creating something new, different. And then it turned out that like when we would go, we would of course sing some of the October Project songs and everyone heard it as October Project. So it's sort of like it was so obvious and so obvious to our manager that we were like, okay, we never really actually broke up because it was Dave, Marina, Urbano, Amal, and myself. And, it's really sort of a pause, I think, for having children.
Yeah. That was called a November Project or no?
Well, we had November Project and then we had October Project again.
Okay.
November Project. Yeah. November Project was a really good band. I mean, it was a very exciting band and a lot more, very different, very, much more edge, very, it started to get its own great like momentum, and Marina saw that band. What did you think?
Yeah, it was great. So it was a very, all great musicians, wonderful singer.
And then after that, you end up releasing 1,000 Days, right? Is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, we did 1,000 Days. That was
Oh.
songs, and then we did an album that didn't come out because we had disagreements. So
It happens, man.
yes, it does. Yes, it does.
But that's part of life, I suppose, right? So being a musician is no different than being an engineer, being a painter, and you say you're married to 5 different people, and
Yeah,
it's hard. It's difficult to be married to one or have kids, one of my 5.
I mean, when I look back on it, I think there are just when you move into a light that's bigger than you are ready for, people's egos get crazy, and record labels they feed people's egos, they blow on people's egos, they say divisive things, they say this to you, but they say that to you. And so, it's a difficult situation that doesn't bring out the best in people always, but
I do want to say that the second album really is a great album. And
oh my God, it's
simply didn't have the opportunity or the support. It was poised to take us into the stratosphere, right? We've done so well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were poised for it to take off. And so it's a great tragedy that things at the label fell apart just at that moment. There was nothing we could do about it. It was circumstance. But we're so proud of that album and the songs on it. They're gorgeous songs. And so they simply didn't have the same level of exposure and support as album number 1, but they are remarkable songs.
Both are great albums. When I was, of course, I knew. Yeah, I was living in the United States at the time. I knew the both records, right? So I knew they were good, but I didn't understand what happened. And I wasn't following bands at the time, so I didn't know what happened after 93 or 95 and the issue with the record label. And you say something very important, Julie, that unfortunately, well, it's part of human beings. The ego always get in the way, right?
Yes.
It's money, it's power, it's fame, it's all the above, right? So
yeah, it takes so much to hold your heart open to other people. And what happens, I think, is people close their heart to the wrong people. Like they just don't. You get swept away with what you're told, and it's difficult. But we, Marina and Emil and I and Dave and have remained really close friends over a really long time. And we don't see Urbano as much just because he's busy. And his children are younger than our children. But, I think about when you take a journey across a life and, my son got married last year and I looked out and, October Project they were at my wedding and for, my kid. And I was like, wow, this is so intense. These people that I had such a big part of my life with, and they're still in my life in such a meaningful way. So I don't know, Marina and I talk about that a lot of what it's like to hold history with people and not have, and to be, you're holding your early life, your children, your parents, the deaths, the caretaking, it's a gift to be able to do that.
And then another album or EP was released called Different Eyes, right? Is that correct?
Yes. No, that was our
chronological order, right? So
that was our first EP really after we became independent and we started our own October Project music label. Yeah. And so, that was fun.
Did we make that in our bathroom? Did we make that in the front room bathroom?
Yes, you did. In the bathroom of Julie and Emil's apartment. It was recorded in the hallway and the bathroom.
Are you serious? No, I cannot. Are you serious? Or are you joking around?
Yeah, no, seriously.
Oh, and November Project, the 5 song, was also made in our bathroom and hallway. So, miracles.
Yeah. And so that would you end up releasing that, right? How did it go with kind of on your own as October Project that comedy? Right?
Well, we were very invested in touring again, so we went out on the road quite a bit at that time. Started to develop some real terrific momentum in all cities that had been receptive to us. So it was an exciting time. We started our Live at the Loft series in New York City, where we would do these performances in my loft and private performances for 75 people. They were just really wonderful. The complexity that arose is that I became pregnant with twins in 2005. So that definitely turned out to be a way bigger circumstance than I had prepared myself for. So that definitely disrupted our momentum. But my dear friends, they welcomed me back when I came, when my kids were old enough for me to feel like I could leave them for a second. But yeah, I mean, this is what Julie's saying about history. There are many chapters in our story, at least 3 or 4, maybe 5, and death of parents and divorce and birth of children. So we've stuck together thick and thin. So
have you ever thought about writing like a book or biography,
Memoir.
autobiography, or something?
That's a good idea.
Our life in music, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea.
Why not? There should be a lot of very good stories. But yeah. And then was another project, right? Then was a tribute album, October Project cover, right?
Yes.
In 26.
Yes.
Which
Covered the song. Yeah. Which was
Right.
really fun. I mean, lots and lots of artists came and wanted to send us covers of the songs that they had selected. Yeah, that one was a really fun one. I mean, truly on our own label with singles and EPs and such, and all the way through the Ghost of Childhood, we've had 14 releases on our label since we went independent. And we've been on the Grammy ballot 9 times. We have over 240 videos. We've been very, very busy in spite of the stop and start nature that parenthood certainly posed for me.
No, of course. Okay. Go ahead, Julie. You
I
have
was
like
just
a
going to say, there's also been so many changes in the music business that it's become really difficult to finance a group of people going out and performing. I mean, it just is, the economics of it don't really work. You're just essentially spending to be able to play for people a lot of the time. So it's very challenging, because most of the time, if a group goes out, we spend ourselves 100% to afford the transportation, the musicians that come along, and everything else. And people don't realize that musicians, like, by the time that the venue's taken what they take, and they take part of your merchandise and everything, it's really, you're lucky if you break
You're
even.
doing well if you've broken even. You're doing extremely well if you've broken even. Forget about
You're a
profit.
solo artist. Like, if you go out by yourself with a guitar, you can make it work. But if you're going out in a group,
band. Yeah.
The costs are substantial.
Do you miss playing live?
Sure. I mean, that doesn't mean we're not going to. Yeah. I mean, we did do a live performance upon the release of The Ghost of Childhood last May. We did a big evening end performance, and that was so exciting and so great. And we did another encore performance in New York City in the fall following that. So, I think we are really itching to do something together again in 2026. So we'll keep you posted as we head into that.
Then was another album, right? So Uncover in December 2011, and then in March 2012, more Uncover. Is that correct?
Yeah. Those were the songs that we were going to make into a fully produced album. And we did things backwards. Usually you do your fully produced and then you put out your unplugged. Well, we thought, let's do the unplugged first and get all those songs into people's ears, so that when we finally release them fully produced, they'll go, why do I recognize that song? So that was the plan. So most of those songs appeared on The Ghost of Childhood ultimately.
Yeah, I gotta know, which is a very good record as well. And then of course in 2015, the project released the Book of Rounds, right? Yes, a song cycle, 21 original musical rounds. Feel free to elaborate on that. How came to it? That's another masterpiece as well.
Oh,
thank you.
And I really mean, I don't say that for the interview, or because no, I really, it's very good. You guys, how can I say this? Are not there where you should be. You have not received the recognition you have received.
Thank you.
I mean, of course, the Book of Round, and then the latest one, and the poetry thing. But the first, just if you like, have stopped right at first to record. You should have been nominated and play live, and have done well financially.
Thank you.
and be rewarded, you know?
Thank you so much. We're not alone in musicians who have worked very, very hard to give the world a lot of generous music, and then, you know, you pause to think, wow, you know, did I make the wrong choice with my life? Because there's such sacrifice and stress to having life as a musician, you know.
Of course, when I include that Mary Ford as well, she's unbelievable. I mean, it's a combination of things, right? You need to have a good record label behind you, a record label to put money, good promotion, touring, and then, you know, playing different tool and a good manager, a good booking agent. It's a combination of things that people do well, right?
Yes.
So it's you can raw talent, of course, you need to have the talent, but
well, sadly, you know, with it begins with Napster, right?
Yeah.
Napster being the first time that music started to become available without
Amen.
having to pay for it.
Right.
And then it just devolved into that being the standard. So young generations have no idea that the music is something that people used to actually pay to have.
Yeah.
You pay the provider, you pay the subscription service.
Sure.
For the portal, who make huge amounts of money, but the thing that they are servicing, which is the creative work, gets hardly a penny. So it's a completely backward system where there's no reason for the portal unless you have great music, right? And the music completely.
I don't understand what young generation now, they think that music should be free, right? I mean, when you go to
It's not their
bookstore,
fault.
you need to buy. When
Yeah,
you go
it's not
to-
their fault. It's been
Right.
it's been given to them on a silver platter. This is how we do music. This is how you get it. You sign on, you pay a subscription fee, and that's what you get. So it's been devastating. It was really watching, you know, a city crumble, basically.
Because in Spotify, you need to have like 1 million hits to get a check for $20 or something.
Yes. No.
You know, and
Absolutely.
that's a ripoff in capital letters, you know?
Oh yeah.
And they do that company is not known to do good things. They're known to do bad things.
Yeah, and you know, we have millions of plays on Spotify, just like we have 89 million views on YouTube, but it's been meaningless in terms of, you know, you would think, wow, that should be great support for the people who provided that material.
Totally.
Nothing, not even close.
How you guys do on Bandcamp? You do okay? You
How are you
sell a
doing?
lot or no?
I'm sorry, say it again.
In Bandcamp,
Oh,
where
Bandcamp.
people can
We
buy
have a
this.
store. We have a store, so we're always making a sale of this or that.
We
Yeah.
find that Bandcamp, I think, really does also, the world of choir has been really interesting for us because we did the Book of Rounds. It was really a passion project. It had there was no music business idea about that. It was just something we did for love. And then here we are, and it's all these years later. Part of it, a friend of ours had her child died at Sandy Hook. And, you know, we just had a lot of things that fit into that project. And, you know, I think about the Book of Rounds and I think what a different world we entered because we did that project, and how choir has given us hope, because this last year we've had, like, Marina, tell him this story about this whole week and what's happening this week. Like, just when you were talking about, do we ever get paid? Choirs pay us. They pay us to sing this song, and they, you know, we had 400 children singing it. And now this week we're going to see the Brooklyn Youth Chorus sing one of our songs. And what's the name of the choir that's going to be doing it?
Well, the Brooklyn Youth Chorus, and there's the Oregon Repertory Chorus that's interested. I mean, suddenly large choruses are very interested in the material.
And it's sort of like you were talking about miracles. It happens by itself. So, you know, people find the piece, and then the choir director will create something for their children or for their adult choir. And then sometimes we hear about it and sometimes we don't. And sometimes we'll just get this random text or email from somebody from far away through Bandcamp or through some other means, and they'll come to us and they'll ask about the Book of Rounds, and then they go and perform it, which is really interesting.
Yeah, it's quite literally word of mouth on that project, and it's been I mean, it's been sung by over 5,000 singers just in the United States. So it's become a huge choral phenomenon, and we're really gratified. But I do also want to say that doing our virtual choirs, during COVID was a really wonderful experience. And, you know, our worldwide choir of Return to Me won an American prize, which is very prestigious. We're really proud of that, and a gold Telly award. So it was a very well-received project, over 18 countries, 130 singers. And that was the second of our 2 virtual choirs. The first one was literally during COVID. And that was from the Book of Rounds. It was a song called Joy. Also won an Anthem award for social consciousness, and also a Telly award. So, you know, we've had surprising reception and success in the choral projects that we've done.
Good for you. And then 2021, the group released the Book of Rounds choral edition as well, right? So, yeah. It's another. Yeah.
It was just days after our New York premiere that the city shut down. We were premiering in a church. There was over 125 singers, Queens College Ensemble, local Lincoln Center children's choirs, like a whole huge hullabaloo, magnificent moment. And I think within a week, everything stopped. All singers stopped singing because of COVID lockdowns.
Yeah. Man, it's too bad. How many people die in this country and all over the world? It's very sad point in history. Fortunately, a lot of people pass away. And then in 2024, exactly like a year ago, right? The Ghost of Childhood. It's another great album as well. You know, so what can you tell me about that one?
Oh, well, just we're extremely delighted to have it out. I mean, it fully produced by Amal, in this instance, assisted by Julie Choral, very talented guitarist. He was the guitarist on our Falling Farther In tour. And it's all live musicians. I think that's what excites me especially. Everything about it is live. The guitar, rhythm section, strings, brass ensemble, everything is live. So I think that was a great pleasure for Emil, especially, to work with so many musicians. We did 5 singles. We did some amazing videos with a Ukrainian sand artist. Her name is Ksenia Simonova. Turned out we wanted to reach out to an artist in the Ukraine after the war began, and we didn't know a lot about her. We just saw her work and said she'd be great, and we contacted her, sent the music, and she said yes. It was only after she said yes that we realized she was world famous. So
wow.
So we were very, very delighted to have 2 videos with her for the Ghost of Childhood. And then we did a whole work with kaleidoscopes. All 11 songs have a kaleidoscopic video associated with them.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And these were handcrafted kaleidoscopes, beautiful sort of trance-like experience. You know, sit back on a big screen, watch that kaleidoscope, you know, just basically pour over you and listen to the music. And so there were a lot of cool ways that we wanted to get the music out and in front of people. So, Jill, do you have more to say? I love the album cover, by the way. I don't know if you've seen it. That's a beautiful artist.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so serious question now. What would it take? Time, money, energy to bring October Project together and playing, I don't know, 20 gigs or 10 gigs or whatever, some in New York, some in DC. What is it feasible, possible? Just break even, right? So, but right, if you end up losing money with the merchandise and selling T-shirts and selling side CDs or vinyl, you can record an investment. I imagine that, but I know for a fact, it's not. I imagine it. You could do well. I mean,
well, we would need a major sponsor. We would need a major sponsor. I mean, it just is very expensive when you consider the players plus the road technicians, plus the lighting, plus the sound engineers, plus the hotel, plus, I mean, we haven't had to do like a major budget in a while, but it's really quite expensive. And of course, when we would go out, we'd want it to be as beautiful as possible, right? So it's all a matter of scale, you know, how big are you going to go and how much are you going to try and incorporate?
Or like an acoustic, you know, version to help with the cost and Yeah, of course, everybody want to do it, that big. But if you can trim it down a little bit and with a budget of X number of dollars,
I
you
wish I knew
do
what
it?
the X
Would you do
was.
it? Could you do it?
I wish I knew what the X was. I mean, if there was a good enough X, I suppose the answer is yes, right?
Because the demand is there, right? If you were to announce it in social media 3 months in advance, we are getting together for the following 10 gigs, New York, Connecticut, DC, whatever. You will sell out the ticket very, very fast. The demand is there. I know for a fact
we
that the demand is
appreciate
there.
your vote of confidence. It's good. I mean, we are going to be looking at what we want to do next. So I'm glad you think so.
I'm very serious.
I think, yeah.
What you need, yeah, go ahead, Julie. How can I help you? How can I help you guys? I'm going to, well,
just ask the question.
I'm involved with a lot of other stuff I haven't told you.
We've been thinking about it. Like we just had a collaborator. Like we have a lot of projects that are moving. But for example, we went to apply for a grant for the next version, the next project that we have. We have been getting 501c3 because we've been spending money to get things recorded or do things. And we realized like, maybe we should do it a different way. So we're just about to get our fiscal sponsorship because we were applying for grants. So we applied for a grant and we go to the data, hit submit. It took weeks to get this together. And with what happened with the arts, the grant was postponed or canceled. So, we like, oh, this is how we'll pay the people. And, it's just like that all the time. So we haven't really looked at it. I mean, I think it would just be deciding that, it's worth the huge amount of effort to get it going. And then it would be, does Dave want to do it? Who wants to do it? If they don't want to do it, how do we do it another way? It's like you have to ask those questions. So really it's just about like thinking, okay, maybe this would be fun. We've talked about it. We certainly have. Last year, we came pretty close, and Emil and I have done a very large form project with another artist. And so we thought, oh, we'll bring both projects out together. We can do that. That will be a better economy. So that might still happen, right, Marina?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a really, really beautiful project. I could send you a like you could hear that in advance of it coming out.
Yeah. Okay, I was thinking the following. Okay, so
yeah.
Okay, I'm in touch with a lot of people for their radios and the interviews, so I will help you in any way I can for free. All right, so I don't need the money. I want to do it. Okay, I want to bring October Project play next year. Okay. So if we do the math, let's say we need 50 grand, just to put a number there. Okay, so it's very easy to set up a fund me kind of campaign, and music connoisseur, and then people that like October Project can help $50, $100, $500, whatever. And then while you are hopefully reaching the 50 grand, it's possible to talk to some promoters and some venues. That's one way. You can do like a Patreon kind of account where people pay, I don't know, $30 a month or $50, and then you can do Zooms once a month and people can ask some question. I can set up for you something called MAA, right? Ask Me Anything, because I'm going to be doing that with a couple of well-known musicians. Okay, so you announce in your Facebook. Okay, in I don't know, we are in June. Okay, August the 1st, right? A weekend, right? So we will do a MAA with October Project and submit all your questions to the following email address, right? And somebody will collect the questions, and I could pick the 30 questions, the 40 top 50, whatever, people over the world. And then you need a host going over the question, and then, okay, I will say, okay, this is Johnny from New Zealand. Wanted to know, tell me about, return to me, or tell me about this or that, right? I will happy to collect the question, read it, and then not only it will be great because you can kind of taste the water, how popular you still are, which I know for a fact you are. Number two, when people submit the question to October project, Gmail account, whatever, we can set one up. You will collect, the name, the email address. So behind the scene, you're creating a marketing campaign. So later on, when you hopefully get together the 50K and the Patreon and the MAA, you will have emailed to thousands of people. I'm quite sure if you do an MAA, at least 1,000 people all the world will submit questions.
Interesting.
I have 100 ideas like that. It's not so difficult. And I'm happy to help you with that kind of stuff.
Thank you.
Happy.
Yeah, Claudia, thank you. Have you seen people be successful with their GoFundMe campaigns or?
Yes, correct. So what you have, Julie and Marina, is not a music problem. What you have, you have a strategy problem. How, in my hypothetical example, how we do an MAA, how to set up GoFundMe, and then how you do with the Patreon.
Claudio,
it's not so difficult. Believe me.
There's something you might not know about me, which is I invented the GoFundMe. I was the first person to ever do a fundraising.
No, I didn't know that. No.
Yeah, I did. And I just, in fact, a week ago had breakfast with the founder of Kickstarter.
Yeah,
because
wow. No, I didn't know.
he was aware of me because I was called as an expert witness by Kickstarter's attorney when they were sued for stealing someone's idea. And he was like, no, they didn't steal that idea. It was Julie Flanders who did it. And so I got this phone call from a lawyer who was saying, I had done a fundraising thing like that. And I can just tell you, it seems one way, but very, very few of them hit the goal they aim for, unless it's as much work as making an album to get the money to come through. So the issue isn't like that we don't have the strategy. The issue is that when you put it to execution, people may have the best love and intentions, but it's incredibly challenging to get people to follow through to help you. And often you end up spending a tremendous amount of energy to not actually have Marina, what would you say about it?
It becomes a burden unto itself. Certainly with Patreon,
another
to offer things in exchange along the way, when really your focus wants to be on the recording and the performing of the music. So it becomes a distraction in that way and a burden.
Yeah.
So in that way, record companies were useful because they would come up with the big bucks to make the important things happen, which are the recording and the performances, right? And so in the absence of that really being viable any longer, because I don't even know who gets signed to a deal anymore, but we're certainly independent. So we've been self-financing all these years and very aware of the economics. And so what we do carefully and with using absolutely every ounce of what we have to make it as excellent as we can, right? So we've done very well with that, but a broader scale tour.
Yeah.
A broader scale tour is a little more imposing. And that's where I say, some magnificent sponsor wants to come in and say, I'll give you X. I just want you to come out. Well, that would do it.
Yeah, this has to be personnel so that we're not driving the van after we play a gig for,
we're a bit older now. We're not going to be careful.
Like you're lifting your own equipment and then you're getting in the van and then you're driving and, it's a lot of things. So it's just more than people realize unless they've done it, right? There's I'll send you there's a wonderful video by an incredible artist named Adam Neely, and he had the particular video he did was called Sleep in the Van, I think, and it's about his band attempting to break even on an incredible jazz. They're the best jazz artists. I love their band. And he talks about what people's expectations are and what the band actually deals with. And a lot of people we know in music too, when you get to a certain age, how many people are sharing a room? Are you sleeping in the same bed? It's things like that.
Okay. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let's say, forget about the money, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. If you have a gig book in New York in the Soho. How many people, and you announce it in social media like a month in advance, so people have enough time to buy the ticket.
Yeah.
How many people you think will show up in my
I
hypothetical
think the
venue?
New York people will come. I think we would have a really
How many
good.
people you think will come?
I think we would fill City Winery, or I think.
City Winery is about, I don't know, 500 or so, right?
Yeah.
And the booths, and they have the table there.
Yeah. Depending on what artist we did it with. But I just have a friend doing it right now, and she's playing in July, and she's really struggling, and they're like, where are the ticket sales? Where are the ticket sales? And she's
Yeah, ticket sales are down generally since COVID, right? And people have just
Yeah.
it's not as reflexive a choice any longer. Oh, that's my favorite artist, I'm buying my ticket. It's more like, oh, but it's New York and it's high alert right now because of our political situation. I mean, like they're always, there have been some intervening factors in recent years which have made it way more challenging. All of the major arts institutions in New York are suffering decline in subscriptions. All of them. The opera, the ballet. I mean, it's at the theater. It's tougher. It's tougher.
Yeah, and we do a lot of things. Like we just went to a gig 2 days ago with an artist that Emil and I have been writing songs for. He's an incredible Broadway star, and he's just been in Hamilton and Sweeney Todd and whatever. But he's a remarkable vocalist. Maybe we'll send you. He.
He just sang "Bury My Lovely." He sang "Bury My Lovely" in this gig. You'll love it. He's amazing. So we're going to put that on our.
Yeah, but he had a room of 60 people, and he filled.
Yeah.
But a room of 600 people goes to another level. So 60 people, those kind of gigs we definitely do and would do, but they don't come to the awareness of people that aren't in the small circle. And then if we tour, it just makes you're leaving your day job, which I have very committed relationships within my professional world. So to take the time to put in the effort to get it all done and secure, it's great if that's all you're doing. Then we would be doing it. If we didn't also have to pay for.
Well, at the beginning, I asked the question, would you like to do it? It's possible to do it. Would you do it? Could you do it? Right? So
we're just having that conversation now. So that's why you're getting the specifics, because we have been actually saying, what does it require for us to actually do it? And what does it require for us to do it at the level we would want to do it, where it's,
of course.
just playing, one keyboard and 3 voices, which we have done.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm here to help. I'm giving you ideas.
Thank you so much. You've been so
help.
wonderful and generous. I mean, that was just beyond the call of anything. And thank you so much. You're just going right into the middle of our heads.
Yes.
Yeah. I know for a fact. I listened to your argument, Julie. I listened to your argument, Marina. I think I'm right.
I will love that.
It could be. I think could be doing. I mean, it could be done.
Okay, we're going to keep talking about that, because I love a man of faith, and you're a man that can bring electricity. You can bring electricity. So
I mean, 500 people, in the City Winery, and do the same here in DC and other areas, with a good strategy behind social media.
Yes.
I told you about the MAA. You need to do a social. Fortunately, social media. I don't like social media. I'm not into it at all. But it's a necessary evil, right?
It's a total necessary evil. When you say the AMA, Claudio, do you mean like here on this YouTube platform that you have, or where?
Something like that, right? Okay, so the way I will do it is I will announce something on your Facebook, and then the 3 of you will do Ask Me Anything, right? Where fans all over the world can pose all the questions you were afraid to ask, and so on and so forth. So you will set up an email address, Marina, Julie, Emil@gmail.com, whatever it is. Okay, so people will submit questions all over the world. And I'm quite sure there are going to be at least 500 questions, right? And then out of the 500 questions, some are personal, or ask you money, or stupid stuff, right? It's always the stupid people in the world, right? So somebody could pick the best 100 questions or so, right? And then from there, right, you do, if you want me to get involved, right, you will do a Zoom meeting, the 3 of you, and I will read the question, right? Johnny from New Zealand is asking, feel free to tell me how difficult it was to make a living at the beginning, or why this or that? All good questions, right? And then, so it's not going to be like the poetry contest where a lot of people there, because it's going to be a mess. But that can be recorded, right? And then you post the video in your Facebook account, and the 1,000 folks all over the world that submit the question feel in many ways important because, hey, I'm a guy in New Zealand, never seen October Project playing live, but they answered my question. I feel very great. And then, like you did with the poetry, right? The best top 20 questions, they get a signed CD or sign a note for you guys or a poster or whatever. And
So you have one coming
that-
up? You have one coming
Huh?
up? You said you have one planned for someone now?
yeah. I'm going to be doing what I just told you with kind of famous people. So
Can you send us the link so we can see what that's all about? That would be great.
yeah. I will. Okay, so and I'm going to be an executive producer in a couple of records as well. So
Thank you, Claudio. Thank you.
it's possible.
Thank
I know
you.
for a fact that could be done, Julie.
Okay,
It's not that I think it
I'm
could
going
be
to
done.
believe what you believe because it's better.
I know 100% sure that it could be done.
Thank you. That I'm going to take that and I'm going to hold it in
Yeah,
my.
and
It's very generous of you to forward that. You know, we lose hope a lot of the time, and that's really difficult. You know, you do so much work, and then you get a check for $100 at the end of the year, and then you're just like,
Yeah.
$100, okay, let's buy a drink, right? That's it.
Yeah. All right, the last question. Let's talk about the poetry contest. What was the motivation for doing that? Has been going on for what, 6 years or so, right?
7th year, going into our 8th.
Yeah, it's an incredible this year was incredible. Were you able to attend that?
Yeah, I was there and I saw my face on the.
You know,
Oh,
I thought
you
I
posted
saw
picture
you.
on the Facebook.
When I saw you here, I was like, this guy's really familiar. I saw him on the screen. I saw you. It was so moving. I found some of the poems to just be killing. And then we had a real tragedy the week after. One of our judges, her 17-year-old, took his own life just a few days after the contest. And you know that poem that was so moving from the father that wrote that poem about his son committing suicide, and then, you know, during the following week.
We didn't know that, yeah.
It was so intense. And then one of our favorite judges, he couldn't get on the call because he didn't have internet, but he wrote a poem last year about growing up in a war situation, and that was mind-blowing. And so once it went international, like as the virtual choirs did, we realized that like our connection is global. We connect with the world, and this poetry contest there were twice as many submissions this year as the year before, and the judges give so much love and time and energy. They read every poem. It gets at least 2 readings, and
we had over 1,000 poems this year. It was an amazing amount of time and attention that our judges gave. And from one of the winners was from Uzbekistan. And she was only 15 years old. You know, we have a teen category, but she didn't submit in the teen category. She just submitted her poem, and she wound up winning in the main category, 3rd place. So,
amazing.
The judge who couldn't get on the call was from Nigeria. So we've had amazing Nigeria, Australia, US, Canada, UK. I mean, people from everywhere. And it all got started really, really very simply. You probably heard that on the Zoom how Julie's had a very long term practice of writing a poem each morning from 2 random words.
Yeah.
And then from those came haikus, which we do every single Tuesday and have for probably 10 years. And then almost, is it 10 years ago as well, you joined the Poetry Challenge in April, during April's Poetry Month. New poem every single day. And then 7 years ago, we said, hey, time to move this out into the world and get people to join us in the joy of poetry, because talk about a neglected art. I mean, that's
absolutely.
But people need to express themselves. And so one of the things that I think we've done a lot since the first version of October Project, we've taught, we've worked with other people to help them be in their creativity. We have done various, right, Marina, conferences, or we'll go and we'll play and we'll teach. And, like just having people write their poems at the end of the poetry contest call. I think people really loved doing that. We had some really good immediate poems that people did. And so, that's a lot of our work as well, is encouraging people into their own self-expression, however they do.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's important to us.
So, no, absolutely. Feel free to mention where viewer or listener of this podcast can buy your music. Feel free to mention your website or your Bandcamp.
Oh, well, just
where people.
Octoberprojectmusic.com is where you can find everything, our store, our biography, information about the Ghost of Childhood, information about the Book of Rounds, information about the poetry contest. All of it's there. All of our many little pockets of expression are right there.
Okay, and
we're on all the major streaming services.
Yeah.
So
and then people can buy CDs, vinyl,
on our, not just CDs and downloads directly from us
well.
at our site.
Yeah.
And otherwise available for streaming on all the major platforms,
And a lot of the people that listen to us are musicians, and so we have piano books and we have other ways for people to get the music for themselves if they are a singer or they are a player.
I see.
A lot of people,
a lot of sheet music.
They are very talented themselves.
I got it. All right. It was Julie and Marina. It was very nice talking to you. And let me know if there is anything else I can do to help you.
Oh, we're gonna have our own Zoom with you now.
Okay. So I'm
what you wish for. You've heard of them.
So I will commit myself to. Okay. So if you do the Fund Me account or the whatever we're gonna call it, I donate $1,000. Okay. As I say before, I'm not doing this for the money. Like I told you at the beginning before we start recording. I'm getting very good money for this channel with 200 something subscriber, and all the money goes to charity. So I will commit money to help you out any way I can. And
not your brain. We want you to tell us what you know about YouTube, and then also because you know computers, so you can keep it ahead.
I'm an optimistic, right? And I don't think it's that difficult. I think you can book 10 gigs in different cities for 500 people each. Break even. You can have, since you have the right to the music, you can record, you can release a DVD or pay-per-view for people over the world that cannot attend. It's something you need to reach an agreement of, let's say, CD Winery, somebody filming and broadcasting that to a particular URL. And I don't think it's that difficult. I like difficult problems, so I'm an engineer, so.
Okay, good. Welcome to the music.
So I'm happy to help out anyway. Again, it was very nice talking to you, Julie and Marina.
Really nice talking with you.
Thanks, Claudio. Pleasure.
No
yeah, sure. You're really wonderful. Thank you so much.
Sure, no problem. Take it easy.
Bye.
All right.